Modern Widows Club, and we are meeting all the speakers at the Widow Empowerment event that is happening on June 22nd through the 24th. And today we have Christi Andringa. Hello, Christi.
Hello. Hi. So happy to be here.
Yes, I love every year the Widow Empowerment. This is our seventh year, and it's all different speakers. We think we have one speaker that's returning from another event, but Christy, you were one of the kind of new what we call rising stars that we had never heard of before, and we started following you, especially Lynn, who runs the event, and she was just like, "Oh, Christy is so positive. She's one of us. We have to have her." So your topic is going to be rise up to live your extraordinary life. And a little bit of the research that I did on you in your professional life, a lot of what you do is help people understand the power of human capital. And what I love about your topic is we are going to learn about how valuable we
Right.
are as individuals. And so you want to share a little bit about your topic?
Sure. So first of all, thank you. And I can't wait to meet everyone in person and talk with you, give you a squeeze, whatever you need. So to give you a little background, I was a professional speaker prior to losing my husband, prior to entering widowhood. And that was in May of 2020 that Rob passed. Um, Before that, he died of colon cancer, and it was during COVID. So I was a caregiver to him as well as couldn't speak live because of COVID. So I put my career and my speaking on hold for some time, 2.5 years, and maybe a little longer, due to the paralysis after his death. And I like what I read when you said that there's this empty chalkboard and you don't know what to put on it. And I kept thinking, oh, I want to speak again, but wait, what? And then I would swallow my words. So I initially started speaking about happiness as a skill, let's say beginning in 2008, and expanded upon that through studying about happiness and what that means, even studying Aristotle. And I can just throw that around because it makes me sound smart, but that's not why I studied him. It was really because at the end of it all, we want to be happy. At the end of this life, we want to be happy. And certainly with our group that we're all in, it's not as easy as it could be or should be or we want it to be. But I do know that happy people aren't lucky, and happiness doesn't fall out of the sky. Happiness is worked on like any other skill that we have. So I started to research how I could do that. And one of my best girlfriends said to me when I called her and I said, Rob has been diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer and it's terminal. He's inoperable, incurable. And she said, you're not going to want to hear this, but you've been studying to be a partner in his life. You've been studying how to choose happiness and love, because this is going to be a battle and a rough road. So now as I've begun speaking again within the last year, my topic has remained the same at the core, about rising up through happiness and love, because love is always accessible. But now there is this whole messaging of what happened with me, and I'm sure it's happened with a lot of widows, a lot of people, is that unless we have commitment and clarity, it's hard to be happy. And when you lose your partner, and with that loss, we know comes with it many other things associated with that. Our whole life is turned upside down. And it's kind of this quiet chaos. So what I found in this quiet chaos was, okay, I was so committed to helping him get better or helping him not be in pain that I had commitment. I was very clear on my goals. And then after he passed, my life was like, well, now what do I do? So I developed 7 simple rules, and I'm not going to share them with everyone now because that would ruin the surprise. But I have lived by those rules ever since, and they're simple. They're just hard to live by. But I know that it's provided me with clarity and commitment and focus, which has allowed for intense gratitude and happiness and rising up with events that aren't so easy to rise from, as we all know.
Yeah, it's so true. And I know what the seven are here, which is so interesting. And I appreciated them too, because it really does become the mantra for our life. And we have to identify what those are, because it's truly unique. One of them, one of them, of course, yours was I choose love. And I remember, even with my husband, one of the promises as I made, was to be genuinely happy and to love again. I had no idea how I was going to get there, or
Right,
if that was ever going to happen, but it was
right.
a commitment that I was making, and it has been my commitment for 2 decades, and it has morphed and changed, and it always will. It
Mhm,
always will.
mhm, mm,
So I think, and I love that you were studying Aristotle, because I love studying Stoics. And
yep,
Martha Nussbaum is my, like,
mm.
people who know me know she's my favorite female living Stoic, because I was like, it's not studying all the guys, but what about what the women had to say?
Right, right, I agree with that. Yep.
So I appreciate that you said that. But I really do look forward to meeting you. I think a lot of the ladies come to the event with a lot of trepidation. A lot of them are coming, they don't know anyone, and they're walking into the room. And that's actually how it will be for you too,
Right,
as a speaker. And
yes.
it doesn't take very long to feel a belonging.
Mhm.
When,
I sense that even just what I read, and because, I'm new to all this too, and just having, um, limited interaction with Lynn just because of the timeline, but, there is a sense just with the dialogue that I'm seeing online and even our short conversation prior to this, that when you're in the right spot, and that's what I feel.
right, you feel that. And I,
Yeah.
I think a lot of what happens at the Widow Empowerment event is we get to see ourselves as
Mhm,
others see us.
mhm.
And that's a really powerful, and it doesn't happen all the time, because of our experience. Sometimes interfacing with society isn't always the most positive. it,
Yes.
it certainly is a little bit, it lacks, well, experience.
Mhm.
And so I know it's hard for a lot of people to know what to say to us, when they bump into us at the grocery store or wherever. But um, we want to talk about these things. We want to talk about our life and how it's evolving and how it's changing and what we're choosing.
Right.
And when you get into a community of that in a whole room for 2 days, it's very interesting. You will find out very quickly how much you have in common with someone you've never even met.
Right, the authenticity and the ability to be vulnerable, because I think for many widows, I know for me, um, I didn't want people to say anything to me at first because I didn't want them to feel bad. I didn't want to make them uncomfortable, and so I was a little guarded, and I became a very good actress, and I pretended like things were fine because I just didn't wanna make them uncomfortable, but really what I found was deep in my heart and soul, I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to reveal, I wanted to, cry if I wanted to, or laugh about an interaction I had had with my husband
Mhm.
on that last day, whatever it may be. But as we start to, peel back the onion layers or just let ourselves be exposed, that's where we find our happiness and our rising up. And, I don't know if I'm the funniest person in the world, but I love humor, and in my presentation, I do like to infuse humor. I take my profession very seriously, but not myself,
Mhm.
and I think I know that even during Rob's, 2.5 years after diagnosis, we had a hell of a lot of fun, and we had happiness, and we had love, even though we knew that it was going to end much sooner than anticipated, but that's a commitment that we are all able to achieve, make, and let our hearts sing again.
Right. And the broken heartedness that we come from, in very raw early widowhood, to be around other people. For me, it was inspiring to be around other people who had some distance
Yeah,
ahead of them, because I wanted to know, how'd you do that? How do
Right.
you do that? Can you just, can I glean some kind of wisdom from you? And that is part of the reason why I started Modern Widows Club is I needed that real place to have real, what would seem awkward conversations to other people, but to us are completely normal in this
Mhm.
stage of our
Right.
womanhood.
Yes.
A lot of women become widowed, and a lot of women have talked in the past, but when I became widowed, there was no social media, so there was none of this happening.
Mhm.
Like this, you had to find a real person to talk to, and I realized how wonderful that was when I did find someone. And now we have an event where you can walk into and make that connection immediately.
Right, right.
Right.
It's yeah, it's a blessing, and
Yes.
I can't I mean, I have goosebumps right now just thinking about what that's going to feel like for me. I've been introduced to some friends who have become intimate best friends who are widows, and we met through widowhood, and just the relief that I feel in their presence, I can't I
Right.
having a room full is gonna be amazing.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to meeting you and hearing you speak, and um, yeah, and in really empowering one another. This is what this is about. Is
Yeah,
all of us have something, no matter how long it's been, what stage you're in. Everyone has something to offer, and both receive and give back at this event.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will see you there.
All right, sounds good. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.
So we'll put the link in the Widow Empowerment event for September 22nd through the 24th, and please sign up, and you'll get to learn more about, well, me and Christi and everyone else that's going to be there. So thank you.